What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Jelly Goon TV. Welcome to all you beautiful people on YouTube. Today we're back with another video. I'm finally back. Got some break, got a weekend. I can make reaction videos again. So today we have another comment request. I gotta catch up on these comments. So right here we have this guy that suggests that we react to his whole playlist. But I cannot do that, so I'm gonna just take two videos out and I'm gonna react to them. And those are the fifth law. So this one is how to trap your enemy is the fifth law. So let's see what it's all about, man. I saw Curtis was in this or something, man. The picture was about 50 cents. So let's just get into it and see what it's all about. Let's go.
Just look at him. So sleek, so powerful.
What's this? Merch? Alright.
Beautiful.
By the spring of 1991, young 50 Cent, aka Curtis Jackson, had proved himself to be one of the savviest hustlers in his neighborhood. His pool of repeated customers, aka drug addicts, had increased to the point where he had to hire his own crew to keep up with the demand. But as he knew, nothing good ever lasts too long in the hood.
True.
Just as Curtis was making plans to expand his business, an older hustler named Wayne began to make threatening gestures towards him. Wayne had recently returned to the streets from prison, and he was determined to make as much money as fast as possible and then dominate the local drug trade. Curtis, it seemed, was his main rival. He tried to intimidate the younger hustler, warning him that he better stop his operations or pay the price, but Curtis ignored him. Then Wayne decided to up the ante. He sent out word on the streets that he was going to have Curtis killed. Curtis had seen this happen before and he knew what would come next. Wayne would never actually do the job himself. He would not risk getting sent back to prison. Instead, he was banking on the fact that some young kid would hear of his desire to kill Curtis and eager to gain some street credibility would take it upon himself to do the dirty work. Sure enough, a few days after hearing of Wayne's intentions, Curtis started to notice a young kid named Nitty trailing him around on the streets. He felt certain that Nitty was the one planning to do the hit and that it would happen soon. This was the depressing dynamic of hustling in the hood. The more success the hustler had, the more he attracted the wrong kind of attention. Unless he inspired some fear and terror, rivals would keep coming at him, trying to take what he had and continually threatening his position on the streets. Once that started to happen, the once successful dealer would find himself drawn into a cycle of violence, reprisals, and time in prison. There were a few hustlers, however, who had somehow managed to rise above this dynamic. In the hood, they were like kings. Just hearing their names or seeing them on the street would elicit a gut reaction, a mix of fear and admiration. What elevated them above others was a series of actions they had taken in the past that demonstrated that they were fearless and smart. Their maneuvers
like a leader,
would be
like
unpredictable and all the more terrifying for it. If people thought
Let me pause here, man. The reason why is because when they do so much dirt, you will not fuck with a guy who killed like 5 people, 7 people or something like that. No matter how gangster you are, no matter how you think you are, man. It's just crazy to do, man, because you know this guy doesn't give a fuck and he probably will to kill you. And especially if you have some power behind him, like some guys, some soldiers or something, man. It's gonna be crazy like that, man. You can actually use this in real life, though. But let's just keep this video going because there's a lot of time left, so let's go.
Them, they would quickly remember what these types had done in other circumstances and back off. All of this would give them an aura of power and mystery. Instead of challenges on all sides, they would have disciples ready to follow them as far as they wanted.
Exactly,
If
street
Curtis saw
soldiers.
himself as the kingly type, it was time now to show it to others as dramatically as possible. With death staring him in the face, he worked to control his emotions and thought long and hard about the dilemma that Wayne had posed.
That's a good thing.
If
That's a
he
good
came after
thing.
Wayne to kill him first, Wayne would be ready and would have a perfect excuse to kill Curtis in self-defense. If instead he went after Nitty and killed him, the police would catch Curtis and he would end up in prison.
Let me pause there, man. See, the thing is about these street soldiers that choose the street way. They have to think strategic about what they do. Like a game of chess, they have to think about what they do all the time. Because the cops are gonna catch up if you're gonna just, go on revenge and just kill everybody who kills your homie. There's gonna be something about it. You're gonna end up in jail and you're not free anymore. That's the problem about criminals nowadays. They're just so ruthless. They kill without even thinking what they're doing, man. That's just crazy, man. But yeah, sometimes I do miss the time when it was organized crime. Like, it was criminal people who killing each other and, doing business beside doors. Like, there was not... The public weren't really involved, you know what I mean? Like, when the mafia was there. But the mafia is here now, but it's younger generation that took over and they more bloodlust and the Bloods and the Crips and all these things. Like, they much more bloodlust, I think. But yeah, it is what it is, man. Let's just get into it. Let's go.
for a very long time, an equally fortunate result for Wayne. And if he did nothing, Nitty would kill him. But Wayne's strategy had a fatal flaw: his fear of doing the job with his own hands. He was no king himself, but just another frightened hustler pretending to be tough. Curtis would come after him from an unexpected angle and turn everything around. Without wasting any more time, he asked a member of his crew named Tony to accompany him for the afternoon. Together, they surprised Nitty on the street, and while Tony held him, Curtis slashed the kid's face with a razor blade. He did it just deep enough to send him screaming to the hospital and to leave a nice big scar. Then, a few hours later, he and Tony found Wayne's empty car and shot it up. An ambiguous message that meant either he hoped that Wayne was inside, or he was taunting Wayne to come out and attack them in the open. The following day, the dominoes fell just as Curtis thought they would. Nitty sought out Wayne, expecting that the
50
two of them
Cent's a
would
smart
go
man.
together to exact revenge
That's what
on
he
Curtis.
is.
After all, Wayne had been attacked as well. Wayne, however, still insisted that the kid do the job alone. Now Nitty could see through the game. He was just the patsy to do the dirty work, and Wayne was not as tough as he had made himself out to be. Nitty would have nothing more to do with him, but he was too afraid to take on Curtis alone, so he decided that he could live with the scar. Wayne was now in a delicate position. If he asked someone else to do the job, it would start to look like what it was: a man too scared to do it himself. Better to let the whole thing just go away. In the days to come, the hood was abuzz with the story of what had happened. Young Curtis had outmaneuvered and outsmarted the older rival. Unlike the latter, he was not afraid to do the violence himself, and what he had done was bold and dramatic, and it had come out of nowhere. Every time people would see Nitty on the streets with a long scar on his face, they were reminded of the incident. Rivals would now have to think twice before challenging Curtis's status. He had showed that he was tough and crafty, and those in his crew were duly impressed with his strategy and how he had turned the situation around. They now saw him.
Let me pause here, because this is like when you have soldiers in your crew is like a moral. I don't know why I'm talking about this. I'm not a gang member. But when you have soldiers, it's the same as the Russian war, the American war, whatever. You have to keep a certain thing of morale. Like the soldiers have to trust their boss. The boss have to know what the fuck he's doing. Like he has to make strategies and all these things and actually, you know, move in a certain way. It doesn't mean that you can't make mistakes, but it's just that the boss know whatever he does, like so the soldiers can see that they on the leader. You know what I mean? Like a good leader that knows where he want to take them. You know, that's the main part of it. Like a company, like everywhere, man. You need a good boss. That's it, man. But let's just keep moving. Let's go.
Differently, as someone who could last in this jungle and someone who was worth following. A true king. Now you might be saying to yourself, that's a cool story, right? But what has that got to do with me? How is the strategy that 50 Cent used any use to me?
Oh, so he is going to tell another strategy.
I'm not going to go around shooting up people's cars or slashing people's faces with a razor blade. And of course, that's true. At least we hope so. None of us would go around doing that kind of thing in our day-to-day life. But it doesn't mean this strategy is not useful for us. For example, I had a friend who was in a similar kind of situation as Curtis was here. Obviously not as dramatic, but similar. See, he was a middle manager in an office, and one of the people that he oversaw was actually the boss's niece. But this niece was a problem. She was constantly undermining his authority, constantly bad-mouthing him to all the other employees, and he couldn't fire her because she's the boss's niece. But if he allowed her to keep doing what she was doing, it would undermine his authority to the point that he himself would be fired. He also couldn't confront her directly about this because she was slurring his reputation, calling him an in-office bully. So any kind of reprimand or discipline or confrontation with her, she could twist to frame him as a bully. So he couldn't fire her, he couldn't discipline her himself, and if she kept doing what she was doing, he'd be fired. Kind of like how Curtis was painted into a corner no matter what he did. But he, much like 50 Cent, used a similar strategy. See, 50 Cent couldn't beat the strategy that Wayne had put forward on him, so instead he chose to expose the strategy for what it was so that it no longer worked, attacking the weak point of the strategy, that being Wayne not wanting to do the dirty work himself. My friend chose to do the same thing in this situation, expose the strategy of this girl, that she would take anything he said and twist it around just to make him look bad. And one day the opportunity for him to do this came along. There was going to be an important meeting meeting that the office had, and it was scheduled during office hours on a Friday afternoon. He got an email from his boss saying just that he was supposed to forward on to the rest of the team. But before he did forward it on, he decided to have a little conversation with this girl that was causing him trouble. In this conversation, he casually mentioned that the meeting is going to be Friday afternoon, but who knows, maybe it might end up being on a Saturday and they might have to come in on a weekend. He didn't say it would be on a Saturday, just maybe it could be. Then he made sure that he was out of the office for the next few hours. By the time he had come back, she had done exactly what he thought he would. She spread the news to all the other employees that he was going to make them all come into work on the Saturday. So when he walked back in, everyone confronted him, "Why do we have to come into work on Saturday?" To which he was able to say, "I never said we're coming into work on Saturday. We're coming into work on Friday." If you check your emails, there'll be an email from the boss saying exactly that. They all checked their emails, and naturally they were very confused about why this rumor had been going around, enabling him to explain that you probably shouldn't listen to this girl because she has a tendency to exaggerate and blow things out of proportion.
Turn it around.
Now
That's
her
nice.
strategy
That's
had been
smart.
exposed in front of everyone. Everyone could see that she was disseminating false information. The next week, he set up a similar trap and caught her again, and after that, she had no credibility left in the office. Nobody listened to her, and she ended up alienating herself with all of her gossiping. In a similar way to 50 Cent, my friend, because he couldn't beat the strategy of this girl, instead exposed the strategy in front of everyone. Of course, he only did this when he actually had physical evidence, emails, proving that she was lying. Because in the past, when she would make a big deal over something and he would change it to suit everyone in the office, she would spin this as her sticking up for everyone in the office against the bully. But now with the emails proving that she was lying, she could no longer do this. Anytime he'd have actual evidence of something, he would feed her false information so that if she spread that, he could expose her as a liar. Once her reputation was destroyed, his reputation was now safe. And eventually, she ended up quitting the company. So my friend, if you want to see more videos like this, I do have a playlist of Bandit strategy videos. Click on the links at the end if you want to watch them. I am Bandit, this is Bandit Incorporated. Until next time, I will see you guys in the comments. Hi guys, I just wanted to let you know.
Let me pause here, man. Yeah, that's crazy, man. That's a good ass law. Like, there's a good ass strategy to everything in life. Like, when you have a hard time with the boss or something, you have to out strategize them or, you know, do something to turn it all around. It's just crazy. Sometimes you just can't think on your feet, but sometimes you get a thought like, oh, I could do this, I could do that. But, you know, it depends on how many balls you have to actually do this. But this was actually nice. He turned it around. And 50 Cent, he has many stories like this. I believe me, man. Curtis Jackson is an amazing, smart entrepreneur, man. He's a smart guy, He thinks strategically all over the place. Like, he's crazy, man. He really is crazy. It was a beautiful video, man. I really did like it that he actually turned it around. This is a good video. I really do dig it. Thank you so much to this guy right here. I'm still sorry I can't react to your playlist. I'm really sorry about that, but it is what it is. You got 2 videos right here. So, yeah. Without any further ado, let's play the next one. So let's get this next one. This next one is how to trap your enemies, Vlad the Impaler style. So let's just get into it and see what it's all about. Because I remember Vlad is like the guy who puts sticks up in people's asses and, you know, up to their head. It's just crazy torture, man. But let's just get into it. Let's go.
Vlad the Impaler, the man known as the son of the devil by his enemies and the son of the dragon to his allies.
Dragon?
A man whose legend throughout history went on to actually spawn the whole fictional genre of vampires and Dracula. You know, Vlad actually gets a bit of bad rap, mostly because he loved shoving people on a spike, but a lot of that is actually more psychological warfare that he would do, enemies of him trying to badmouth him to the Pope to undermine him.
That's
Vlad
actually a good method.
One of the most misunderstood characters.
That's a fucked up
method,
but it's good.
We'll save that for another video for another day. Right now, I'm going to tell you how Vlad dealt with his enemies in a way that you can use in your life.
Nice. Let me see, man. That could be nice. Wow. That's messed up.
No, not not that way.
I'm like, no, I'm
Okay,
not
so
doing that.
Vlad was returning back to his homeland of what is now Romania after spending most of his life in Turkey, being basically brainwashed into the ways of the Ottoman Empire. Him and his brother, being princes, were taken as prisoners to Turkey, and it was customary to try to brainwash the sons of conquered areas to get them on side.
Of course.
Vlad's younger brother bought this brainwashing hook, line and sinker, but Vlad himself did not. He pretended to so that he could be sent back to Romania
That's
to replace
crazy.
his father when his father died. Living amongst the Turks for such a long period of time, he knew them from the inside out. He knew how they thought. He also knew that a tiny little country like his could not stand against the might of an entire empire. So he already had as his plan a scorched earth policy. He knew that once Turkey figured out he was not actually on their side and he was there to declare independence, they would come and invade. When they would, his plan would be scorched earth, burn everything, burn every crop, poison every well,
Yeah.
salt the earth, so that there's nothing there for the Ottoman Empire to get. They couldn't scavenge anything, they couldn't eat anything, they
wow.
would run out of supplies and then have to go home. He did this and it worked. But to prepare for this strategy, he knew that every single patch of ground in Romania that could produce food would need to be producing food, because he wouldn't know which areas he would have to scorch. So he'd need to have food growing elsewhere. So what he did was he sent out word amongst Romania to all the beggars, all the homeless people, all the people living in poverty, that if any of them want land, come to him and he will give them land that
Wow,
they can
that's
own
nice.
out of his own personal inheritance of land, being the prince now becoming king, and they could work that land. So he sent this word out all across Romania, but only one guy in the entire land of Romania actually showed up to ask for a bit of land. It was an ex-soldier who had a hole in his head from an arrow that hit him during a battle, and he'd have seizures all the time. So Vlad gave him some land, but he was very upset that none of the beggars or anyone else showed up. So he decided he'd make another offer. He put the word out to all the beggars, all the homeless people, that if they came to his castle, he'd give them a giant free meal. This time, every beggar in the entire land. But when they did, he closed the doors and slaughtered each and every one of them, as Vlad tended to do. That was just the way that Vlad did things. But one of his associates asked him why he did this, and he explained that if these beggars and these poor people, if they don't want to work, but they're still willing to take a handout, then when the Turks arrive, all the Turks need to do is just give them some gold, and they'll tell the Turks anything they want to know about Vlad, about his armies, about the movements, about what battle plans they might be making. So he simply couldn't afford to have all those beggars in his land, because he knew they'd eventually betray him. And you have to admit, that's pretty smart thinking
Yeah, that's
on
true.
the part of Vlad.
It's
A lot
fucked
of
up,
other
but it's
rulers
smart.
would have just forgotten about the beggars, but he could see where that would lead in the long run. He realized that the way people act in little things is also how they will act in much bigger, much more important things. So in this way, we can kind of set up Vlad the Impaler type tests to test how people react on small things, to know whether we can trust them or not. This is something I've actually done over the course of my life. Sometimes if I'm sort of meeting a new group of people and kind of becoming friends with someone, I'll actually throw out a bit of a test. I'll maybe tell them a secret, tell them maybe an embarrassing story, and then I'll say to them, yeah, just keep that quiet, just between us. Now what I'm telling them actually isn't a secret. It's not really something that I actually care about if anyone knows, so it's not really all that important, but I make them think it's important that they keep it secret. That way, if later on down the track I hear that story through the grapevine, I know I cannot trust that person. I know I can never tell them anything real.
That's true.
It's a very good way of flushing out who to trust and who not.
That is actually
And
true,
also,
man.
when you catch someone in this, you can actually make a joke out of it in front of everyone and go, well, it's a good thing it wasn't that big of a secret. This way, it puts everyone else on notice that that person
Yeah.
is not very trustworthy.
Sure.
And also, it puts everyone else on notice that they should not betray your trust. They should not give up a secret, because if they do give up a secret that you tell them, it could be another one of these tests. But Vlad the Impaler did lots of interesting things like this throughout the course of his life. There were many different layers and lots of different psychological warfare that he used against the Turks, and I think I'll probably make more videos about him in the future. But until next time, let me know what you think about this.
Let me pause here, man. That was crazy, man. That's really amazing that you could turn these evil guys or whatever into actually philosophers. Like, not philosophers, but actually showing, what you're supposed to do with life and how you trick people and, all this shit. That's amazing, man. I really really do dig these two videos, man. This is good knowledge to have. Like, if you want to know life and you want to know some hacks that you could get good friends and, you know, all these things, man. Strategies in life and how you tackle the most difficult situations. And that's just crazy, man. I really do dig that, man. Thank you so much for this guy right here, or this girl, sorry. Whatever you are, man. I really do appreciate you, and I love you so much, man. Thank you for that. I'm still sorry I can't react to your whole playlist, but it is what it is, man. The first one was good as well with Curtis Jackson. That was amazing, man. That was really dope. I really do dig that. There's so many strategies that you can use in life with other people. It's just amazing, man. It really is amazing. But anyway, guys, if you like this video, please hit the like down below to show me that you support this video. And please do hit the subscribe button if you want to support this channel. I see that we are 138, I think, subscribers. It's just freaking amazing, man. I just see these subscribers going up, and I'm so fucking lucky. I'm the luckiest guy alive right now. Like, I'm so happy about you guys and girls. I really do appreciate you so fucking much from the bottom of my heart. I really do mean that when I say it. And I know that I say it in every video, but I just want to make sure that you people understand how much you actually mean for me and how actually you make me happy when you do these things. Like, you just click on that goddamn subscribe button and you just subscribe. It's just amazing, man. I really do appreciate it, and thank you so much for the support, man. It really does mean a lot. But anyway, guys and girls, I'm gonna move on into the next video. There's a lot of comment requests, sorry. Peace.